the Babylon Bee's topic of the week.
All right. Well, here's our 10 favorite comedy movies. I could be
I might have a bonus one or two.
I'm only solid on about half of these.
Wow.
Well, I like all of them, but I'm saying that I could be convinced to change some out.
Yeah,
for
I'm sure
others.
I'll find some I forgot about.
I know there's some I forgot about. So, all right,
I just thought of one. Dang it.
I'm going to open with Top Secret.
Oh yeah, I was going to put that on there.
1984 movie starring Val Kilmer. It's one of those
made by the Airplane guys.
Made by the Airplane guys. One of those screwball comedies with all the weird visual gags.
Yeah, gags that were expensive.
Yeah,
for a really dumb
to pull
joke.
off this one little thing. There's a scene where the guy's sitting there with his feet up on the desk and he's doing this, and you can see his shoes, and then he stands up and his shoes are still there. There's just shoes on his desk.
Yeah,
and it's just so stupid.
Looks like there's a phone in the foreground ringing.
Yeah,
and the guy walks up to it, and it actually is just a massive phone.
It's actually a giant phone.
That's so much work. Because I've been on, even just when I worked on VeggieTales, you have a joke that's going to cost money.
Yeah.
You have a whole room of people staring at you. So you have to have the guys at the very top. That'd be amazing to have that kind of power.
Yeah.
To be like, this is my stupid dad joke, and we're hiring contractors.
So Top Secret, it's a kind of a hidden gem. It didn't do as well as Airplane or anything.
It was on
a couple
Netflix,
of little gross things, and just assume that for all these comedies.
Yeah.
Top Secret.
Except for Duck Soup, the Marx Brothers. Better Time.
Is this Marxist?
The Marx Brothers. Not Marx, not that Marx.
I might check this one out. I've never seen any Marx Brothers.
This is one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite Marx Brothers movie. It's also because it was my first got into the Marx Brothers. It was the first ones I saw. So.
Are they talkies?
Yeah, they talk. This one, they are it's like a country called Fredonia, and I can't remember exactly how it works. I should just look up the synopsis. But they basically make this idiot, Groucho Marx, the ruler. I can't remember the excuse for it, but then they end up going to war, and he's just this buffoon that's trying to lead a whole country, and it's kind of one of those things, kind of like the producers or whatever, they kind of put an idiot in charge to try to pull something off, and it all falls apart. But the amazing, the dancing, the singing, the talent that these guys have. There's so many visual gags, and it's such simpler comedy because they can't do. But it's also like for its time, insanely produced, like amazing, huge song and dance numbers with all these people. But also just the gags. There's just so many little gags, even in every line. It's very well thought out. It's a different kind of comedy than the shock comedy that we're used to.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to mention That Thing You Do, which is
I never
kind
thought
of
of it as a comedy.
It's kind of part comedy, part.
That's a dramedy.
I wouldn't even call it. It's a drama, maybe a little bit. It's just your classic rags to riches success story type thing, right?
Okay.
Musical, some good songs.
I remember laughing during it.
That Thing You Do is probably, I probably see it more as funny because it is the most quoted movie in my family.
Oh, really?
We just have all the random lines, the lines you wouldn't even think of as funny, that we're just, table 19, your pizza's ready, all that. Like it's just dumb.
Okay.
But it's highly recommended. It's a really well done. Of all the movies where there's like a band that gets their song picked up and they get famous, and then they find out, fame isn't all it's cracked up to be. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite one. Well written, well acted, well cast. That Thing You Do.
City Lights, Charlie Chaplin.
I don't know if I'm going to have seen any of yours, man.
Now, City Lights is like a very special movie. If you haven't seen a Chaplin film, it's the first one to see. It's very romantic too. It's hilarious.
Is it a talkie?
It is not.
I'm going to have to ask this about all your
This one is not a talkie. This is purely mimed. But it's a beautiful story. Charlie Chaplin plays a homeless guy, a tramp. He finds this woman who, I can't remember, she's a flower girl. And he falls in love with her. But he wants to convince her that he's a rich guy. So he finds ways to make it sound. He's miming what a rich man would do so that she's convinced that she's interacting with a rich guy. So the whole story is about him trying to find a way to live up to this. And then there's some, I don't give it the ending. It's one of the best endings, but it has all these things. He's in the boxing ring, just great physical comedy. And when you watch it, you go, oh, all of these jokes have been stolen.
You say, hey, this Charlie Chaplin guy stole all these jokes.
Yeah. But it's also just a really good. I cried. It's one of the best.
All right. Well, my movie is a talkie. It has sound and it has color, and it's called UHF, starring Weird Al, and starring and written by Weird Al, and maybe directed by, I don't know, but fantastic. Another weird screwball early '90s, late '80s movie. It's basically like Weird Al had all these parody ideas in his head.
Yeah. Of
not just parodying songs, but wanting to parody TV shows. So he came up with the weakest narrative excuse to do that.
Yeah, it's just a vehicle.
Like, I guess I inherited a TV station or something, and
so
here's all
this program.
Here's all these parodies.
Yeah,
some great parodies like Conan the Librarian, who slices you in half if you're late with your books. His Rambo parody is great. Where he gets shot at and he chews the bullets up and spits them back, and some great physical jokes. And Weird Al is just hilarious.
The amazing thing to me about that is a lot of times comedies from that period, my kids don't. They're lost,
My kids didn't get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
my kids were dying laughing on UHF. Like, I've never seen them laugh so hard. They were crying. But they were already Weird Al fans. Are your kids Weird Al fans?
No, although they did I just showed them Trapped in the Drive-Thru.
Okay.
And they're like saying, "This is so dumb, Dad," but they're going,
yeah,
the whole time.
Shaolin Soccer. You ever seen that?
I don't know about it.
So Stephen Chow, he did, which I also want to put this on there. Kung Fu Hustle. You ever seen that?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
Okay. So he did, this is his movie before Kung Fu Hustle. And it's about a soccer team who learns Shaolin Kung Fu to play soccer. And it's like anime soccer, basically. Like, it's insane. It's one of the most bonkers movies. And it just keeps delivering. It has some of those bizarre jokes that are like, Asian humor is like hard to like, what? Yeah. It's so weird. So it has a lot of those moments where it's just funny because it's weird, but then also even just massive, like kicks so hard that the entire soccer field is being plowed up and men are being thrown. And Stephen Chow, the director, is so good at that, like human Looney Tunes type stuff. If you've seen Kung Fu Hustle, there's some great stuff on that too. But Kung Fu Hustle is much more violent. All
right, my next one is Best in Show. You're going to hear several Christopher Guest movies on my list because I love the dry mockumentary style. That was a revelation for me. Is this I was watching these movies, and if any comedies that are written for kids are very written down, and it's like the punchline, and they look at you like, do you get the joke? And so for Best in Show, it was just this they would comment on things and have these characters that would just go on, and you're like, there's no punchline. There's no punchline. Yeah. But it's funny. And
I've only seen that one of those once, and I was not prepared.
Really?
I need to try again.
Have you seen Best in Show?
I believe. Okay, so here's the context of when I watched Best in Show. The girl who I was in love with, who I believed was going to be the woman I would marry one day, her ex-boyfriend came to town suddenly out of nowhere. And things
everything turned into a crazy Ethan.
Things kind of got
Dan, we need an Ethan Story animation intro. We have to create it.
He's never boring and he's never dull. It's story time with Ethan Nicole. Yeah, more stories.
Something kind of got rekindled there, and so then of course I hate this guy and everything about him. He brings a movie to our house, my house. Best in Show. It's like, this is hilarious. Let's all have a movie night and watch this. So I'm sitting there, and this is how I watch Best in Show.
So it's never going to be redeemed for you.
Yeah, and I just watched it. And nobody laughed the whole thing. We nobody get it. We didn't get, because we're so used to Tommy Boy or whatever.
So Fred Willard.
And nobody liked him because we all liked her and they all wanted to be with her. So it was like, this guy's an idiot.
Fred Willard is amazing in this movie. He just died, right? Yeah, May. He just died in May. Fred Willard's amazing. He does the commentary as the dogs come up, but he knows nothing about dog shows. So he's like that color commentator in sports that's saying things that don't make any sense. Yeah. So I think at one time it's all quiet and they're like, oh, these are amazing dogs. And he says something like, in some countries they eat dogs. And it's just deadbeat, no laughter, because that's not how they do it. And I about died. So Best in Show.
Where did I leave off? Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm throwing this in as a trilogy. I am a huge Edgar Wright fan. Hot Fuzz, World's End, Shaun of the Dead. To me, that is some of the greatest comedies of our time. Especially Hot Fuzz. The first time you see it, you're like, that was okay. But if you watch it again, you realize you missed half the jokes. He works in callbacks and all this subtle stuff. They're so amazingly crafted and they're so fun.
I like Shaun of the Dead. I didn't get Hot Fuzz. I need to give it another go.
Gotta watch it again. It's so good.
I bought an HD DVD
Have you seen World's
player.
End?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Gosh, we have to have a movie night.
I bought an HD DVD player.
I try to have movie nights.
I
You
know.
don't show up.
I bought HD DVD player because I invested in the right technology, not stupid Blu-ray. Who knows what that is? And the movie I got with it was Hot Fuzz.
Oh, I love Hot
And
Fuzz.
we were like, oh
so
yeah,
much.
I really want to see this, and I didn't get it. And I think I had a brand new TV, my first HD TV, and it was too quiet. It had the built-in speakers. I couldn't hear what they were saying, and they're talking British. And
Oh, you got to hear it. Yeah.
I'd try it again. So, what Best in Show is to you, Hot Fuzz is to me. I'll give it
horrible.
another shot. Airplane. This almost goes without saying. I don't need to talk about it very much. It started that genre, and Airplane. If you haven't seen it, it's worth it. Unless you're homeschooled, and then don't watch it.
Blues Brothers. I love the Blues Brothers. Blues Brothers, what I like about it is it's just like super chaotic and over the top. It's like a car chase through almost the movie, and more people are chasing them down, wanting to kill them throughout the movie. So at one point, like they have like all these cops chasing them. They got the KKK chasing them. They got all these people, rednecks. Everybody wants these guys dead, and then it all culminates in this concert where everybody's like showing up to murder him. But if you just watch the car chase scenes in the mall and stuff like on Blues Brothers, the cops are chasing them down, the cars are just crashing through everything. It's almost like a satire of a car chase. But the amount of money they must have spent, it's just insane. But yeah, Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers. I've seen 2 out of your 7 so far. And only heard of like half of them. So you're doing well. All right.
The rest of mine are pretty well.
We're into my top 5 now. I ranked mine. You didn't.
Yeah, I didn't rank.
Number
These aren't
5.
ranked.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, I should have put that on there.
I
kept the obvious ones off.
I know I'm basic. And to me, Dumb and Dumber, it was maybe next to that thing you do, my most quoted movie as a kid.
Yeah, I think for most of us, it shaped a generation.
I have my good friend Michael. He and I still communicate exclusively in Dumb and Dumber quotes.
And it holds up still. I watched it
It's
recently
funny.
with my kids, and they were dying laughing.
It's a funny movie. So Dumb and
Some
Dumber.
inappropriate stuff.
It got really bad reviews when it came out, if I remember right. And
It's so funny.
I didn't understand it because it's so funny, so good. Jim Carrey's best movie, except maybe Truman Show.
I put this one on there because I wish more comedies like it were made. Tropic Thunder. It's an action comedy, which I wish there was more comedies that were in that space. Rather, it's always like
They're just
rom-com.
expensive. That's why they're
it's
made, right?
expensive and risky. But I love that genre, and
They're all going to get.
it's
pulled
really like
from
the last.
shelves.
Yeah, that Tropic Thunder is going to get like pulled
Canceled.
at some point because of Robert Downey Jr.'s blackface.
Isn't the weird thing is it wasn't the whole point that it's criticizing that?
Yeah, because when he did it, it was bold. It was like it was already taboo.
Well, it was 2008, right?
Yeah, and so now I'm just like waiting for the day.
I've never seen it.
It's a great movie, but it is an R. It's an R for sure. So
Just assume that these are all inappropriate.
yeah,
Nice Christian podcast. The Princess Bride. Again,
I'll just delete that from my list.
very, very basic, but
but a masterpiece.
one my kids didn't get so much.
Yeah,
But
my kids had a tough time with that one too.
People will say that this is just nostalgia, but I didn't see this till very late high school, and everybody was already, oh, you gotta watch Princess Bride, and
yeah,
and I watched it, and I just absolutely fell in love. And Princess Bride, I mean, great movie, not just a great comedy, great way of life.
well, this is one that must be mentioned.
And the book is great too.
Groundhog Day.
Ooh, I almost put that on my list.
It's not just one of the best comedies, one of the best movies ever written. I think one of the best scripts.
It's one of those rare comedies that's funny and kind of has a point, and
Yeah,
it's just narratively very well crafted.
it's just one of those you have. If you have not seen it, see it. Just go see it. Just do it.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray at his best.
I always love the line. I can never find it when I Google for the clip, but the line where he's the lady asks if he wants to talk about the weather. Like, oh, nice. What does she say every morning? Like, I hear there's a blizzard coming in, and he's the weather guy, and he just rattles off like, actually, there's a cold front moving in from the south, and blah blah. And he gives this whole thing, and then he says, "Did you really want to talk about the weather, or were you just making chit chat?" Because he's a huge jerk.
Yeah.
That concept of like actually trying to talk about the weather with the weather guy always got me. Number 3 for me, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It should be number 1 for me probably, but I wanted to be Controversial.
I figured you'd have that on there. Yeah.
Rented it on VHS at Blockbuster at a friend's house. Plopped down, and the credits. I'm crying, laughing at the credits. Changed my life.
I gotta watch it again. It's been so long. I don't even know if I ever saw the whole thing.
My kids loved it when I showed it to them. I skipped the naughty, the girls in the castle scene or whatever.
Okay.
But they loved it. The Black Knight was a particular success with them because that physical comedy of all his arms are chopped off and he still wants to fight.
Okay, this one comes with a big pre-warning that it is like, I don't think there's any sex or nudity in it, but it is like horrible language. Very bad language because it's a movie about freestyle rapping. This is my one movie that's like really recent.
8 Mile.
It's called Bodied. It's kind of in the realm of it. Yeah, I've told you about it. It's YouTube. It's a YouTube movie. I think that they got the rights to it or whatever. So you can watch it on YouTube if you have an account, I think, or pay. But yeah, it's about freestyle rap. But it's about the how politically incorrect that scene is, and you have this college white kid he's fascinated by it, but he has this super woke girlfriend. So it really kind of takes on wokeism from within wokeism in an interesting way because it's the black community, and it's all I don't know. It's fascinating. It's about cancel culture. It's about all that kind of stuff, and so it's not only really funny, but it's kind of important, and it's just fascinating. There's some honesty to it, and it's just really well done and completely different. It's a very different movie. I don't know if it could have been made in any other way than kind of the online streaming model where you can make stuff a little different, a little more out of the box.
My wife loves movies about rap.
Yeah, I keep telling you, she would love it.
I'm going to suggest it for tonight's movie.
She would love it.
Okay.
Just make sure the kids can't hear it.
We're going to vid Angela.
That's going to be nothing.
It's 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
All right, my number 2 is this is Spinal Tap. This is the second Christopher Guest movie I've mentioned. Rob Reiner, too, who is absolutely psychotic on Twitter now, but I will not let that taint my opinions of his movies because...
Him and his dad died recently, right? Is that his dad?
I don't know.
Carl Reiner?
Oh, okay.
The Reiner that just died.
I didn't know that.
Recently. Every tweet was about Trump. He's just obsessed.
Yeah, it's crazy. So this is Spinal Tap was the satirical movie that showed me that satire is best when you appreciate and understand the subject that you're satirizing. So that's why, because it's clear that they don't hate heavy metal. They're making fun of heavy metal because they love heavy metal.
Right.
So this is Spinal Tap. A lot of F-bombs, but...
Yeah. My roommate used to watch it on repeat.
Yeah, it's so good.
I don't know if I ever watched it from beginning to end. I just kept catching moments of it.
Yeah.
So once again, this isn't in order for me. I just threw
that's
down.
Fine. I'm doing it in order because...
I'm bad. I can't order things. But I was amazed by Paddington 2.
Yeah, you've mentioned this before.
I thought it was just so well done. There's so many amazing comedy bits in it.
You like bears.
And the physical comedy, like they already have all these special effects. They don't have to, like if you watch most kids movies and they have special effects, they don't have to go the extra mile to figure out this whole physical comedy bit that incorporates the environment and all this stuff. Like I just thought it was so well done. Hilarious. And it's,
too?
Have you ever heard of, I blanked out, some old funky British comedy show, super offbeat and quirky, kind of a punk rock British comedy show. These guys are behind the Paddington movies. That's why they're a little out of the box they're really well done.
All right.
And no warnings on that one. You can watch that one, the whole family.
This is the first one.
Groundhog Day, kind of. There's a little bit of...
Princess Bride, maybe.
Shaolin Soccer is pretty safe. There's some moments.
UHF is
there's a little bit of swearing.
Clean. Fairly clean UHF.
Shaolin Soccer, you should get the dubbed version.
Oh. All right, my number 1 movie is A Mighty Wind, another Christopher Guest. This one I actually liked better than Spinal Tap because it was a little more subtle. They're making fun of folk music. I grew up with my parents blasting John Denver in our car all the time, and we hated it. But we also loved it. You know, it was
songs
like
are fun to sing along to.
They start to get catchy, and now
Country Roads.
If I pick up a guitar, I'm either going to pick out a Switchfoot song or I'm going to play John Denver because that's just. So there's a line in there where the guys, one of the singers says something like, "There was abuse in my childhood," and he goes, "But it was mostly musical in nature." Because his parents made him listen to folk music, and so that was kind of like I don't know, but it's very dry. Absolutely no punchlines. Even drier than the other movies I mentioned, Spinal Tap and Best in Show. But I love it. It's clear that, and there's almost a touching moment at the end where you see these old characters that used to be famous. You know, kind of how sad and funny that is that they're trying to be, you know, successful folk singers in the modern era or whatever. But there's almost a touching moment at the end, and I always appreciate that in a comedy. So that's my favorite comedic film. What's your last one?
Oh, I think
Or
I
you can
thought that
rattle
was
off
10. I don't know. Was that 10 for me?
Oh, it might have been.
3, 4,
Did you go first or did I go first?
Oh, you know, I deleted a couple off because you mentioned them already.
Okay.
So I'd say one of your other ones.
Okay. UHF or
UHF or
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
Okay. Well, guys, if you want
Chaplin films in there.
if you want to be as funny as the Babylon Bee writers, watch all these movies.